And good evening, everyone. Tonight we're looking at rail safety here at home and what's changed over the past 12 months, as tomorrow will mark exactly 1 year since a small town in eastern Ohio was devastated by a toxic train derailment. East Palestine, Ohio is just about 3 hours to our southwest, located between Youngstown and Pittsburgh. February 3rd of last year, a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous materials went off the rails in that small village with a population of less than 5,000 people. Some of the 38 cars that derailed burned for days, sending toxic chemicals into the air and also contaminating creeks and soil. Now, the EPA said this week that the cleanup has been significant, with crews removing more than 176,000 tons of soil and other solids, plus 43 million gallons of water, all of it contaminated by the derailment. The EPA administrator saying, quote, "We're confident that the residents of East Palestine are not at risk." But what about preventing another East Palestine? Here in Western New York, we know a lot of trains that pass through our region daily are carrying hazardous material. The Biden administration moving for Congress to act.
Right now, under the law, even if we catch a railroad corporation in an egregious violation that gets somebody killed, the most that we can do by way of a fine is about $200,000. It's going to take much tougher penalties to change the behavior of railroad companies. The Bipartisan Railway Safety Act in Congress would do that. It would untie our hands.
So what needs to happen again to prevent another East Palestine, both at the federal level and also here in New York State? Joining us live here tonight is Jim Lewis. He is the National Vice President for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen. It's a union representing more than 50,000 railway workers. Jim, we're fortunate that you happen just to live here in Tonawanda and can talk to us about these things. It's good to see you again.
Yes, I can. Good to see you.
So I mentioned there Congress. I'm going to talk to you about New York State as well. But let's begin with what's happening in Washington, D.C. There is this bipartisan bill that is being considered. What has changed since a year ago in terms of at the federal level, and what needs to change there?
I think the awareness after what happened at East Palestine finally brought a new light on what was going on in the rail industry that we've been talking about for years. And it's sad that it takes a situation like this to happen before people finally take action to try to solve some of the issues that we have out here on the rails.
In terms of the law, again, with the bipartisan bill that is in Congress, is that something that the union supports? And there are a couple of key provisions with it, right? One of them dealing with the fines, as we just heard from the Transportation Secretary, and another that would require the phasing in of safer tanker cars, right, which is also a concern.
Right, and that's been going on for decades that we've been trying to get it. It moves very slow in the rail industry with the regulations that go through, and yes, the unions have been behind this for quite a long time.
I think people who live in a part of Western New York where the railroad is right behind them and they see those tanker cars coming through all the time, you naturally worry, what if we're the next East Palestine? I have heard, and you confirmed, the majority of trains coming through our region have at least some hazardous material on board, right?
Yes, yeah. Pretty much, 65-70% of the trains on a daily basis here has some type of hazmat as by the federal regulations.
So at the state level, I know there have been several proposals here. There was a bill that passed that the governor sort of made some adjustments to. There was an initial bill that didn't get through. Where do we stand now with New York State? I think in some ways trying to be a leader on this issue, but maybe not quite getting it done.
Yeah, last year Senator Kennedy was the sponsor of the bill for the two-person crew bill. It did get through with some changes that are being amended right now, trying to make the bill so we don't have to worry about the rail industry, especially the American Association of Railroad, who has taken these bills that have happened in other states and have gone to court to try to get the bills thrown out. So they're trying to tweak it to the point where they think there'd be less of a chance for this thing going to court.
A bill doesn't really do you any good if it can be taken to court and essentially overruled. When you talk about the two-person crew legislation, why is it so important for people who are watching who don't understand how this works that you have at least two people manning a train, especially one with hazardous material?
And this is to maintain. It is not to put another person on the train. This is to maintain two people on the train. When I hired out 40 plus years ago, we had 5, and over the years we have brought down to 2 people on there. That second set of eyes and that's what it is while we're running the train. But more important, when a train derails like it does here, when the conductor goes back, he's really the first responders for the first responders. He knows where all the hazmats are, what's in those cars, and he has the paperwork to be able to show the first responders what needs to be done, where they might have to take precautions. Without having that, you got one guy stuck on the middle of a train. Same issue if we have any time where we have to cut a crossing to let emergency personnel back. There's no way to do it when there's only one person.
What is the flip side argument from the rail industry, and how would you respond to them who say, technology is advanced and we can do this now with fewer people?
They've never ridden a train before. The biggest problem we have is the hedge funds that just keep on, squeezing for the next quarter's profits. They don't really concern themselves in safety like you and I would like to see done.
I know that after the derailment there in Ohio, again, a year ago tomorrow, there were also some changes that were done in terms of all of the inspections and stuff that was happening to make sure, to try to prevent what happened there from happening again. How has that gone in your view, with that happening really across the country?
It's gone very slow. And that's why the same thing, once again, Senator Kennedy went and put several bills also to try to make sure we can do it at the state level, as you said, so we can be a leader in what's going on here in when it comes to trying to protect the residents in this area. But it's a real uphill challenge for us to try to get any of these things finally, to become a law.
Finally, I want to end here with, do you ever worry that what we saw happen in Ohio could happen here at home?
Yes. Yes, it's a situation that every day the men and women that run these trains, they try to do their best, but they are giving these trains now that are over 3 miles long, that they're trying to operate through these towns, and it takes a toll on themselves. Also the toll on the road bed from all the wear and tear that's going on here, and the lack of maintenance that has been deferred because of precision scheduling railroading.
That's a sober assessment from someone who, again, you've been doing this how long? 40?
We're going on 48 years.
48 years. Yep. Jim Lewis is the National Vice President for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen Union. Again, been doing this a long time. Thanks for helping us understand kind of where we are a year later, and I guess where we still need to go.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Jim.